Lustig goes down. Kent brings it back. Ryan Jack with a shot. It was well directed from the Rangers midfielder, and it's the opening goal. And Callum McGregor's through on goal. It's a great chance, and the flag is up on the far side.
Plays it in for Weir, and it's in the back of the net. Curls it to the far side, looking for Sinclair. Scott Sinclair again. A wonderful left foot shot. Callum McGregor with his third league goal of the season. Plays it across the 6-yard box. Forrest. It's a wonder goal, and another big Tillman Park finish from James Forrest. Burke can hit it first time. Timo Weir celebrates with Oliver Burke. Chance for Brown. It's gone into the edge. Scott Brown has scored.
Oh, that's a wonderful finish.
The ball curled into the area. It's a chance, and Celtic have scored. Onsen Edwards. Tribune, Tribune.
Forrest running onto this. The cutback's a good one, and the finish is there. And Celtic have done it in the dying seconds of the match. Absolutely fantastic from Celtic.
Oh, how they were answered. And it means, of course, that Celtic go into this Glasgow derby against Rangers 10 points clear at the top of the SPFL table. A very good morning from a sun-soaked paradise, as you can see behind us. It's not often we get weather like this in Glasgow, but we have it today. The sun is shining in the east end of Glasgow. Let's hope the sun will be shining on these Celtic players this afternoon. Welcome along to Celtic TV's live coverage of this Glasgow derby. My name's Jerry McCulloch. Simon Donnelly, of course, former Celtic striker, with me today. Simon, before we have a look at the team lineups, how will these players be feeling?
Excited as normal. You know, these are the games, we've said it all before, these are the games you want to play in, whether it's against Rangers or big European nights here at Celtic Park. The boys will be prepared for it, you know, and I think Celtic will go for the jugular today. I think we've touched on their performances of late, not been great, but they've been getting over the line and getting the points. I expect a performance off Celtic today, and if we get one, I think it could be 2 or 3.
We would certainly settle for that, settle for 1, 2 or 3, as long as it is a win. Let's have a look then at the starting 11 that Neil Lennon has selected for this one. A couple of changes. So Scott Bain in goal for Celtic, a back four of Lustig, Boyata, Ayer and Tierney. Scott Brown in the sitting role. Olivier Ntcham comes back into the starting 11 as well. James Forrest is in there. Callum McGregor. Johnny Hayes starts for Celtic out on the left, and Edouard up top. On the bench for Celtic, De Vries, Toljan, Simunovic, Tom Rogic, great to see him back, Scott Sinclair, Burke and Weir. Good team there, and of course they were in good spirits when they arrived, as you would expect. Focus from the players, but a great reception for manager Neil Lennon when he arrived here at Celtic Park about an hour ago. In fact, these supporters delighted to see Neil back after Brendan Rodgers left Celtic, so he is there. And of course, this man, Scott Brown, such a crucial figure over the last decade here at Celtic Park, and such a crucial figure on days like this. And how will this man feel to be back? I mean, there was some sort of suggestion that he may be carrying a slight injury, but he's in the starting 11 this afternoon. Big important decision that, Simon.
Yeah, who would believe social media, Jerry? They'd written him off for the season last night, you know, and it's great to see him in the starting 11. I've said he's a future captain at this club. I know he's captained the club when Brownie's not been about, but he's a future captain. He's a born leader, came through the ranks and such an important member of the team.
When we look back in the last Rangers game here at Celtic Park, we'll see Olivier Ntcham's goal. He makes a return after quite a lengthy layoff from injury. Is he another, similar to Tierney, is he another big game player?
I think he's similar to Tierney, and possibly we'll touch on Edouard in a little while. These guys seem to relish playing against Rangers, playing the big games. And Ntcham at Ibrox last year dominated. He gets the important goal in the first game here this season, so that's possibly why he finds himself back in the team.
The other big decision that Neil Lennon seems to have made is to play Johnny Hayes on the left. Scott Sinclair is available, he's on the bench, but he's gone for Hayes. I just wonder whether with perhaps some sort of question mark over Tierney's fitness? He's thinking about Johnny Hayes tracking back and using his sort of defensive capabilities as well.
That might well be it, because I'm surprised Sinclair doesn't play again, performs well in these games, scored important goals against Rangers, and has found a bit of form this season. So that could be the reason that Hayes is in, just to be the double cover for Kieran. But hopefully we're going the other way and not worrying about the defensive duties.
You always look at the bench to see what kind of options are there should the manager need to change it, and it is a very strong bench. We know that Burke and Ware can make an impact from the bench, but Tom Rogic coming back into that squad is huge in a game like this.
Brilliant to see him back as well. I think it's just a wee bit early for him to start the game, but as you say, look at the bench. You've got Rogic, Ware and Burke have had a great influence in the team since they came here in January. A lot of good go-to guys on the bench should we need them, but again, hopefully we don't.
Yeah, so a good squad, a lot of players coming back from injury, and when I spoke to manager Neil Lennon this week at Celtic's training centre in Lennoxtown, I suggested to him that this is perhaps the strongest squad that he has had at his disposal.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Olivier's back, training day in, day out now, and Tom Rogic's back on the grass, and he's had a couple of really good days training, so hopefully both of those two will be in contention for the squad at the weekend as well, which is great.
Yeah, they're two big game players, not just generally, but specific to this fixture as well.
Well, they're quality players, full stop, and you can just see what it means to the rest of the squad having these guys back. It just gives the quality of training a lift, and the personnel a boost as well.
Is that right? You can actually see it out in the training pitch?
See it lift, yeah. I mean, the training's been very good this week, but trying to, again, keep it all calm and collected. They've had a good day today, tough day today, and now we'll taper it off between now and Sunday.
Is there you mentioned this to me last week about trying to stay calm with all the intensity going on round about. Is there a point though between now and Sunday where you yourself begin to raise the intensity?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Saturday, and speak to the players, and certainly before kick-off as well, but until then, just try and maintain normal intensity, a normal week, but obviously we know it's a little bit different. But we don't want to bring it up too early and get them too emotional too soon. So we'll build that up over the next couple of days.
You and the players are in a very unique position, because it's a big fixture, and people, supporters, journalists, media talk about what ifs. They talk about if Celtic win then it means this, and if Celtic win then it means this, if Rangers win it means this, but you're the guys that have to actually do it. Is that difficult to try and keep away from all that noise and not think about consequences?
Well, obviously, you weigh up both sides of the result, really, but try not to differentiate from what you normally do. As you say, it's the right word, Jerry, it's noise. You can't affect speculation, you can't affect predictions, that type of stuff. What we can affect is preparing them the best way we can, and we've got a lot of experienced players of this fixture now, and they know what's required, they know what's at stake. We know what the consequences are, win or lose, but they're very, very driven this week. Obviously, I think the break's been beneficial for a lot of them, and to have this big game coming back into it will just, spice the senses even more.
You talk about the experience within the squad, but you yourself also very experienced as a player, as a manager in big derbies and in big games. What do you think is the key to performing at this level under the brightest spotlight?
I think not getting too emotional. I think you have to be aggressive, but you got to control your aggression, and try and make a good start. Get a good tempo to the game. We're at home. The onus is on us to take the game to the opposition, and that's what we'll endeavour to do. But it's important to be physical, but in the right way, obviously within the confines of the game.
You've played against a Steven Gerrard side before as manager at Hibs. What are the traits that you expect to see on Sunday?
They've got good energy, they've got good legs about them, and excellent on the counter-attack as well, so that's something we'll have to be mindful of. And Morelos have got a goal scorer, so one who we have to keep an eye on. But we know they've got strengths, but we know they've also got frailties as well, which is obviously what we'll try and expose.
Massive Celtic support on Sunday as well. You know all too well about the special connection when the fans get behind the team, the players, the performance can raise a level through adrenaline and that feeding off that energy. How important are the supporters going to be for the team on Sunday?
Not huge. We have to. I think the fans will be pumped up for the game anyway. We have to, as you say, feed off it, I'll keep maintaining that. I want to hear, you know, I want them to feel the noise, you know, and really make it an intimidating atmosphere, and for our boys to thrive on that.
Good luck Sunday.
Thanks, Jerry.
Neil Lennon there talking about not getting too emotional too soon. Of course, he knows all about this fixture. He knows all about the emotions that can get caught up in it. So perhaps he is the best one to relay that to the players that don't know.
100%. You know, I think Neil, since he came back in, it's a safe pair of hands. You know, he's been here before. He's been over the course as a player and as manager. You touch on people being able to handle the green and white hoops here as a player. It's the same in his case, you know, and it's a shoe-in for me, you know, until the end of the season, because you could easily bring somebody else in that doesn't know the club, doesn't know the players, and everything could go pear-shaped. But it's been the opposite, you know. As I say, the performances haven't been the best, but they've got over the line, and you look at them, the togetherness, the way they celebrate those last-minute goals, and he's worked with a lot of the players here as well. So it was an obvious choice for me, and if he gets the treble, then that's a decision for the board to make.
Having said that, it must have been difficult for Neil, because every job he's gone to, there's been a job to be done, and he's been able to put his stamp on it quickly and put his ideas on it and put his authority on it. When Brendan Rodgers left, everything was running smoothly. You know, a lot of the backroom staff, like Sir John Kennedy, Damien Duff stepped up. They're all there. They ran the routine. Nothing changed. So it must have been difficult for Neil to come in and almost take a step back, while at the same time trying to stamp his authority. Yeah,
definitely. But I think, as I say, with a club of this stature and the pressure that's there, who better to handle it? You know, he's been here. He's been over the piece with as a player. He's won titles here as a player, as a manager. And as I say, that's the obvious choice for me. Whether it's long term, we'll wait and see. You know, it's maybe down to Neil himself. You know, if he wants it and the club want to give him it, depending on how he finishes the season. But he's come in, he's kept a calmness amongst the team, and as I say, that's the strength that he brings to it, the experience at Celtic.
There's been a lot of focus on the two managers in this, and the implications that any such result might have on Neil Lennon or Steven Gerrard. It's just a way of it in this fixture, but I'm sure that 10-point cushion is something that Steven Gerrard would rather be 10 points ahead than 10 points behind. You know, avoiding complacency though is the thing that Celtic have got to avoid this afternoon.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll, you know, we worked at the Ibrox game, you know, the disappointment of the last game, and they've bounced back, as we've seen at the VT at the start of the show. They've bounced back emphatically since then, you know, lots of clean sheets here and lots of goals at Celtic Park, and opened up the 10-point gap again. I don't think there'll be complacency today. I think, if anything, they'll want to go for the jugular, they'll want to correct that last result, you know, and I feel a real performance coming on.
Well, let's go back to a bit before that last result and to the last Glasgow derby here at Celtic Park, where that Olivier Ntcham goal was what separated the two sides.
The ball's curled into the 6-yard box, it's spun up in the air, straight back to Ntcham. Brings that one down, there's two men round him, curls it into the box again, looking for Duduk Boyata, it's headed clear. James Forrest picks up the loose ball, thought about the shot. It's off the bar and over! Wonderful strike from James Forrest. Alan McGregor rooted to the spot, but the bar comes to Rangers' rescue, and I think it took a slight deflection. The assistant referee flags for a corner, and it's corner number 5. Well, that would have been a wonder goal from Celtic's winger, but the danger not yet averted for the visitors. Another corner, corner number 5. Olivier Ntcham once more with an in-swinger. The Celtic fans roaring on the team. The ball curled again, looking for Duduk Boyata. It's off the bar again! McGregor couldn't quite bring that one down. Lustig challenges, eventually it's hooked clear. Twice the woodwork has come to Rangers' rescue, and Celtic edging ever closer to a goal. Callum McGregor does well against Tavernier. He's fouled, but manages to work it on to Kieran Tierney. Tierney edge of the box on that left-hand side, skips past one challenge. Kieran Tierney back to McGregor. McGregor curls it across, looking for Edward. It must be a goal. It's saved. Well, he headed it straight at McGregor, who managed to palm it behind. Well, that should be 1-0, but it's a corner.
Yeah, best chance for Odsonne Edwards, and he was so unlucky. I think if he maybe tried to head it down the way, quite possibly, if he can maybe get up, get a little bit of spring.
Scott Brown picks up the play. One of two Celtic players booked in the first half. The other one, Odsonne Edwards, as the ball's threaded through to the Frenchman by his fellow countryman. Two men round him. The ball cleared only as far as Olivier Ntcham, edge of the box. Thought about the shot, he can open up the opening. It's saved, it's onto the bar again. McGregor's challenged. Well, in fact,
A foul given against Callum McGregor on Alan McGregor, but Alan McGregor once more has the woodwork to thank. His shot from Olivier Incham palmed onto the bar by the Rangers goalkeeper. Tavernier. Two men round him, plays it back to Arfield. Arfield scoops it to the far post, but Barisic will keep that one in play. Still the Croatian plays it low, and David Beata scoops that one clear. Ryan Jack challenges with Tom Rogic, and Rogic breaks clear, and suddenly Celtic on the attack, and the Australian drives forward. Ajari in the chase. James Forrest is on the right hand side. Odson Edward through the middle. A chance for the Frenchman. Plays it to Forrest. Forrest back again. It's Incham. Celtic have scored. Olivier Incham. It's 1-0 to the champions.
Oh, what a wonderful counter-attack football. The only moment where Rangers didn't have 11 men behind the ball, and they took advantage of it. Wonderful link-up play. Tom Rogic had the heart of all, finding Odson Edward, who sliced James, and James is totally unselfish with his pass across the goal to Olivier, and no more than the hoops deserve.
Olivier Incham has broken the deadlock, and Paradise goes wild.
I remember the relief when that Olivier Incham went in goal went in the last time, because as we saw there, the Celtic's performance was so dominant.
It was the biggest 1-0 doing I've seen for a long time. You know, McGregor has a couple of good saves. Edward should score the header in the first half, but the longer the game goes, you're right, you get a little bit tense with it. So it was a fantastic breakaway counter-attack goal that won the game for us.
We spoke about, or you raised the fact that, you know, Celtic have been getting results, but perhaps performances, everybody would agree that performances of late haven't been top drawer. There's been a lot of upheaval behind the scenes, we know that, and it's important to keep getting the results. But mentally, how much will that affect the Celtic players in a positive way, that perhaps if things aren't going their way on the field, they know that it doesn't mean they're down and out? Yeah. This late goal, you know, is a feature recently. Yeah, and it's I touched on it during the week. It's winners, you know, they're used to winning and getting over the line whatever way, whether it's a great performance in a 3-4-0 or a 1-0 at Dens Park in the last minute, they get over the line with it. And mentally it will be great for them, but mentally for the opponents, you know, the likes of Rangers and Aberdeen and whoever else is chasing, it's a real kick in the you know what's for them, you know, because they'll be looking at their games, they'll be looking at Celtic, waiting for them to slip up, and continuously, time after time, Celtic get over the line and keep that gap. Do you think the game at Ibrox will be in the Celtic players' minds? Yeah. I think they want to put it right. You know, they've won that many games over the last period. The disappointment of the performance, you know, they weren't really at it from the off, and they want to put that right. There'll be guys like Brown and Tierney in there that want to get the bragging rights again as quick as they can. Well, let's hear from one of them, Celtic captain Scott Brown, of course, a veteran of this fixture, of course, and one player who will be completely focused this afternoon. Through the week, he caught up with Celtic TV's Ryan Rowe.
So, Scott, this is the first time that we've spoken since the new manager has came in. So, just first of all, how much have you enjoyed working with Neil Lennon again?
Yeah, the gaffer was brilliant the last time I had him. He kept me on as captain of the club, and the performance levels went through the roof the last time. We had a lot of good times with him as well, in Champions League, and especially last minute goals as well. And he's came in, he's tried to keep everything the same as what Brendan's done as well. He knew Brendan's team was doing really well, so he just wanted to come in, and it was short and sharp. So he just wanted to keep everything as simple as possible and just kind of make sure we continue winning.
There's a good scene that we got from some of the behind the scenes stuff when Neil had his first day here, where the two of you have a bit of banter when you first saw him. So just talk a wee bit about that, because obviously the relationship between a captain and the manager does need to be serious sometimes, but it's good that there's a bit of humour there almost.
Yeah, for me, we've kept in touch over the 5-6 years that he's been away, and we've met up quite a lot and seen him especially when he was at Hibs as well. So we've always got that close bond, but it's always there's a time for a laugh or a joke, and then there's also a serious side as well. And we go out to that training pitch and you can have a laugh and joke in the warm up, but as soon as it starts being proper and you need to make sure you're focused, but we're all listening ahead. And the manager's the exact same. He likes everything to be good tempo, serious, very well organised as well, and especially in game day we come in, he talks, everyone sits and listens, so no, he's got the respect of all the players.
And talking about matters on the pitch, particularly in midfield, A lot of guys now coming back to full fitness, guys like Olivier and Cham, Tom Rogic, they're getting closer. How much of a boost, especially going into this weekend's game, is that, having those guys back on the training pitch?
Yeah, to have Callum McGregor back as well against Dundee was huge, because we lost Near Beaton due to injury again, and I seemed to be the only fit midfielder at the time, so that was great to have the wee man back in the middle of the park, and for him to go away to get 2 games with Scotland, it's definitely helped his legs as well. To have Tom, everyone knows how good Tom is, technical, he is a genius. That left foot of his, he's won us so many games before, and there's not a lot of players that I've played with that's movement is as good as what his is. And Ollie, everyone knows and expects what Ollie does. He's fantastic on the ball, he creates chances for others, and he's a great lad to be about in the changing room.
Talking about the game on Sunday, the form since the last game against Rangers has been sublime, you know, unbeaten domestically. But when we spoke to the manager last week, he said that you guys were still hurting from that Rangers result. Is it still? Yeah, it always hurt, especially, I think we went on a record-breaking run against them as well. I think it was at 12, 13 games undefeated against them. So no, it was great for us to go on that run, but it was always going to end eventually, and just the way it ended, we didn't play that well at Ibrox, and we know that ourselves. But we've bounced back, we've went to Dubai, we came back after Dubai, and we had a good wee mini pre-season underneath Brendan and the lads, and it kind of spurred us on and kicked us on for the last half of the season. And in that space of time, on this great run, you've been racking up the goals. Has that been a conscious effort to shoot more, or has it just been the way things have went? Yeah,
I think I've been a wee bit lucky at times, especially Kilmarnock when it's probably gone in Rose Ed, but I'll take them as if they come along. It's always good. And the St Johnstone goal, I don't know where that came from, 25 yards out, but I've remembered how to celebrate anyway, so no, here's hoping for a few more by the end of the season.
Such an important player for Celtic this afternoon. You look for a manager, you look for a leader on that pitch, and Scott Brown is that.
Yeah, totally. I think he'll manage the game. You know, he'll sit in that deep role and just manage the game through, help when needed. It'll be unusual if I know he's popped up with a couple of goals recently, but I'd expect like some McGregor and that to push further forward, and he'll be the insurance there. But an important guy in days like this.
Sure, if there is a chance to shoot, Scott Brown will do just that. Let's have a look then at the starting 11 if you've just joined us and you want reminded of who is playing. It's Scott Bain in goal, a back four of Lustig, Boyata, Ayer and Tierney. Scott Brown in the sitting role. Olivier and Cham, I think he's going to play slightly ahead of Brown. James Forrest on the right, Johnny Hayes on the left, Callum McGregor in the middle, and Odsonne Edouard up front. On the bench for Celtic, Doris de Vries, Jeremy Toljan, Jozo Simunovic, Rogic is back and he's on the bench. Sinclair there, Burke and Timothy Weah. The referee for this one this afternoon is Bobby Madden. What a sight that is, an absolutely packed paradise. Remember, only about 700 or 800 Rangers fans, so the noise you will hear this afternoon will be from the Celtic fans. Only got time to get a prediction from Simon, who's been pretty good at his predictions this season, it has to be said. What are you going for, Simon?
I'm going for 3-0. I stated it a couple of days ago, I'm going to stay with 3-0 Celtic.
We would absolutely take 3-0. Remember, still to come this week, it's a big week of fixtures here on Celtic TV after the Glasgow derby today. It's the trip to St Mirren Park on Wednesday night, and then back here at Paradise next Saturday for the home game against Livingston. That is the last game before the split. Simon's going for 3-0. I went for 2-0 through the week. I'm sure we would take either of them because it's just about getting that win.
Yeah, and opening the gap up to 13, and as I said during the week, irretrievable for Rangers if we get the 13 points ahead. So it's a big 3 points today, and just another step closer to 8.
12 o'clock kick-off. Paul Cuddihy and Tom Boyd are your commentators, and you'll hear from them after you hear from these wonderful Celtic fans.
Sweet is no better sound in football than 60,000 Celtic fans singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." That sends the hairs in the back of my neck tingling. My nerves are jangling, but thankfully alongside me is a veteran of Derbies, Tom Boyd. I'm hoping you'll be calming me down this afternoon in these last few moments before the players come out. What's going through their mind?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not able to calm you down, Paul, because when you're in the stands here, you don't have an influence in the part other than giving your support, which the fans were absolutely fantastic to hear them in unison. But once the players step onto the park, that's where they earn their corn, that's where they make their money, and they play in these games. I see both teams are set up to be very solid midfield, so I think that's where it's going to be won or lost today.
Both sets of players being led out of the tunnel by the referee for this afternoon, Bobby Madden. Captain, of course, Scott Brown. James Tavernier, the Rangers captain. If you've just joined us, you have missed the team bit, and Neil Lennon has made 3 changes to the side, which won 1-0 at Dens Park just a couple of weeks ago. The Celtic line-up with Scott Bain in goals, a back four of Mikael Lustig at right back, Kieran Tierney at left back, Diedrich Boyata returns, he partners Christopher Iron central defence, ahead of them Scott Brown. Then we have the welcome return of Olivia Inchaments in midfield alongside Callum McGregor. On the right hand side of the attacking trio, James Forrest. On the left, Johnny Hayes comes in, leading the line is Odsonne Edward. Rangers make 4 changes to the side, which do 1 each against Kilmarnock at Ibrox. So they line up McGregor, Tavernier, Worrell, Goldson, Jack, Kent, Halliday, McCrory, Morelos, Candeias and Arfield. But as always, Tom, it's all about what Celtic do over the next 90 minutes, and particularly with home advantage and with this crowd behind us, we must be confident.
As much as the referee had an influence in the game at Ibrox on the 29th of December, we did not play well. We were certainly battled, out fought, and we should have lost that game by more. And then that criticism would certainly have stung a lot of people in here, no more so than our captain and our leader in Scott Brown, and obviously he took that responsibility on. So expect a massive game for Scott and the other midfielders and the rest of the team today. We'll certainly want to make amends for and prove that that performance was just a one-off.
And of course Celtic know that victory this afternoon will put them 13 points clear at the top of the Premiership table with just 7 matches remaining, so a vital game for Celtic's aspirations of making it 8 in a row. Both captains and the mascots, and of course Hoopie the Huddle Hound just posing for the pre-match photographs. Celtic of course will shoot from left to right in this first half.
Well, I would certainly agree with Simon. We win the 3 points today, and that's the belt and braces on the championship. Anything else, a draw, a defeat, and we're still, even then I think a draw would, we walk out here undefeated, we'll be happy, but we want to go and make a statement and get this league done and dusted as quick as we can.
The Celtic players in the huddle, Paradise absolutely packed, ready to roll on the home side. Remember the last time the sides met here, it was Olivia Encham who's making a return to the side to score the vital goal in an afternoon where Celtic absolutely dominated the game, and the atmosphere inside Paradise is absolutely electric, and I'm sure the players will be determined to maintain their impressive domestic run in 2019 with 3 points this afternoon. And it's going to be the home side to get the game underway. Odsonne Edward, he does love this fixture. Could he be on the score sheet again this afternoon?